Good evening. Today with me we have Dhanya Varma. You probably know her as an actress. She did the movie Humans of Someone. The movie won an International Indian Kerala Festival Award. And then, belatedly, her show The Happiness Project from Kapati TV has been a sensational hit. It has inspired thousands. She's a master in communication from Pune University, and she's someone who could guide us on these times to stay happy and fresh. Dhanya Verma, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Firdaus. It's absolutely a pleasure to talk to you.
The pleasure is.
At the very onset, I should give you a disclaimer of saying that just because I've hosted a show and I have interviewed on the subject called happiness, doesn't make me an expert on the topic. And I'm not a guru or an expert on the subject at all. But I'm more than happy to share my insights, putting my professional and my personal journey together with you and all of you.
Yeah. You're being sweet there. Anyway, but the first thing I want to take you a few years back. And as back as at the time, you were a producer first for a TV show called Kaun Banega Crorepati. And you had the opportunity to interview and, indulge with someone called Abhinab Bachchan on a daily basis. So how was that experience like?
Well, I was not a producer on the show. I was the assistant producer on the show, which makes me one of the lowest, team member in terms of ranking and influence. So I had started my career with the show. So as far as Mr. Amitabh Bachchan goes, Amitabh ji used to interact only with the very senior members from the channel. And that would be like the CEO of the channel or perhaps the CEO of the production house, Synergy Productions, who was Siddharth Kapoor. So he used to interact only in those circles. So as far as I was concerned, I was just an observant, a quiet observant, watching how things happen and trying to learn from it. Being a part of the Star TV team, that gave me a kind of a bird's eye view of the whole scenario, which would have been very distant if I had been from the production house side. So I had an advantage of knowing a lot of things and learning from observation. So I remember seeing Amitabh ji on a couple of occasions. I remember having a brief exchange of words with him. And he was always very nice, very kind, very polite, very courteous. But beyond that, I've not had a chance to interact with him on the sets of KBC. My opportunity to interview him happened almost a decade later, actually, when I started working in Kerala. And I was hosting a show called Talking Point on Rose Bowl. And simultaneously, I used to freelance for various other channels, Asian being one. And there was this stage event, an award night of sorts, which was happening. And Amitabh ji had flown into Kerala. And they wanted to do a special interview episode with him. And for that, they had asked me to join them. And I had joined this idea of starting as team members or the singers, the contestants. And I was hosting a talk show of sorts with Amitabh ji. So that's when I got the chance to interview him one-on-one. And that was a fantastic experience. There's lots to learn from him. And he's there where he is, not he, you know what I mean to say is it's not just his charisma or his intelligence or all that, but it's also the fact that there's a lot of self-discipline and lots of hard work, lots of dedication to his craft that has brought him to where he is. So yes, that was when I really got to interview him. And maybe, I don't know, maybe in the future, inshallah. I just hope I get to see him again.
Yeah. So initially, were you with the project from the initial stages itself, like KBC?
No, I was with KBC, I think, towards the end of season 1.
All right. Okay. And
this was in 2001. 2001, actually.
Yeah, 2001. You just after your master's degree, right?
Yes, I had joined the company. I had gone there for an internship, and after that, I had joined the company, and
Yeah.
that's when I got an opportunity to work with the BBC team.
Was he always the first choice for the host?
I wouldn't know that because I was not there when, and obviously we wouldn't know. These are all
Yeah.
very high management decisions, which
Yeah.
we are not privy to. So, that's their decisions to make, and all that could have happened much earlier
True.
before I joined. And even if I was there, I wouldn't know what
Yeah.
transpired in the meeting.
Yeah. And then from there, you went on to be a newsreader in Star News, didn't you?
Yeah, so I worked with Star Plus in different divisions. So I worked with the programming team. I was also a promo producer for Star. So I produced promos for the various, promos are like little ads for their content. So I have to make promos for the various TV shows or sometimes for Star Gold or movies, Star movies. So I worked with the promotion team. And after that, there was an opening with the Star News, which is just launching. And they were looking at people in the production for Star News. That's where I applied and I got through.
But then
So
you
Star News originally was not the Star News, which is not, there's no longer a Star News, there's KBP News.
yeah.
At that point in time, it was more of a urban kind of channel.
Yeah.
And then it switched over completely to the Hindi belt later.
Yeah. From there to working on channels in media companies in Kerala, do you find any stark difference in the work system and the culture here?
Yes, there is a lot of difference. My first, when I started work in Kerala, I did not join any company. I was working as a freelancer. For me, it was very convenient to manage the home front and my work and keep growing as a freelancer as opposed to working with a company where you kind of tied down for 12 hours a day and then you would not have any time to devote to your family. So I worked as a freelancer. So again, I have an outsider perspective. I've not been a part of the company to gauge, but I do feel that when I've been working in Bombay, it was much more easier to communicate, to establish yourself as a professional in the context of your gender within Kerala. Then today, I'm sure things will be very different. But at that point, when I started working in Kerala, which was probably in 2009, it was very different. There were very few people who really understood where you came from and responded accordingly. So when I started, it was a different ballgame. But slowly, as my work started speaking for itself, so then things started changing.
Yeah.
Because there was a show called Talking Point,
Yeah.
which was on Rose Bowl channel. That's where I started work with Kerala.
Yeah.
Like I had a full-fledged show with Talking Point.
Yeah.
After that, I did a lot of work for general entertainment channels as well. Shows and all, like Mammootty Best Actor, Mrs. Kerala, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Talking Point was the show I really loved.
Talking about another show, the Happiness Project. If you switch on to social media today, like you can scroll through a few feed, and every time some clip or a snippet from the Happiness Project appears, it's such. I mean, it's such an influential show that don't you feel that it's something? It may not be a new product to the Kerala TV, but it's absolutely refreshing, and it's also the need of the hour. Do you feel like that?
I'm so glad that the content we put out there as a team is helping a lot of people.
Absolutely.
In whatever ways, maybe bringing a smile to the faces,
True.
making them think harder, or give them a fresh perspective on life in general. Whatever it is, to people. I'm just so glad that's happening, and I'm just so grateful that it's happening because when we conceived the show, and when we put the show out there. The only thing we wanted was that it should be a good, positive content. And that's what my boss from the channel, who's the creative head of the channel, Papa TV, Sumesh Lal, who's the man who conceived the Happiness Project. And of course, we all got together to execute it. But Sumesh, that is what he wanted. That's all he wanted. It should be a good show. Content-wise, it should be a good show.
Yeah.
and it should send out good vibes. Because you look at Facebook, you look anywhere, there's so much of negativity around.
Yeah, true.
I just want to put out something which makes people happy, and inspire them and motivate them. So that's how the show was conceived, and that was the purpose of the show.
True.
And today, after I think the show has been off air for about 1.5 years now. And today, when things are so grim, I'm so glad that the content that we put out then, which has been lying on YouTube and it has been viewed, of course, is making sense to a lot of people today.
True. Any chances of revoking it again and bringing it back on TV?
Yes, we were planning to start a little earlier. I think we were planning to start the second season a couple of months ago, but then the COVID situation happened and everything was in a standstill. So maybe, once things pick up, it might be the light of the day again.
Yeah, so you started working with Sumesh from Humans of Someone, right?
No, I started with Sumesh from Talking Point, which was in 2009.
I see, yeah. So that's a long way.
So he was the content head of 2009 when we launched the Talking Point. That was the first show I did with him. And as a very creative man, he is a man who can visualize things very differently.
That's nice.
And you can see the difference, the way the production is done, and the look of the channel, the feel of the show.
Totally, yeah.
He's the one who does Music Mojo and all of those.
So that's a nice show, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a wonderful show. So that the conceptualization of it, or the visualization of it, the set, the lighting, all this goes into making a good show. It's not just two people sitting and talking. It's the whole feel of the show and how it connects with the audience via a lot of elements. So, it's a fantastic team we have put together too. So my producers or my camera people, they're all really good people and good at their work.
Yeah.
And that is what you see through the show. It's not just me alone or Sumesh or any individual. It's the whole team that has worked towards the show. Even my costume designer. Everybody has put their heart and soul into the show, and that's what you see today.
Well, one thing I have to ask you is that, is there, like you have on the project, the Happiness Project, you have had an interaction with so many people. Is there anyone who remains embedded on your memory, a person who inspired you, their words?
There's so many, Firdaus. There's so many. It's hard to pick out one. There are so many people for different reasons. So I can't pick out one, but yes, there are lots of them actually. How do I explain?
Yeah.
Where do I start from?
That's it. Coming to your home, you have two beautiful daughters, one son, right? How old are they?
Yes. So my elder daughter is 13. She's going to be 13.
Yeah.
And my younger ones are twins. So they are just great.
Yeah.
Just ended.
I see. And your husband, Vijay Varma, is in the Navy, right?
And he's just retired from the Indian Navy now. He's taken a voluntary retirement. And he's an employee of Tata Steel. He joined Tata as a pilot.
Yeah. So how do you take these two, but your professional journey and the things at home together as a woman?
Sorry, could you come back again?
The personal life and how do you balance that? The personal life and the the professional life. Is it easier or?
There's never a balance.
True.
If you're talking about balance, there's never a balance. That's not something I believe in. But there's sometimes you prioritize all the time.
Yeah.
So that's what I told you that I'm busy for the past 2-3 weeks. I'm not able to give you this interview. That's because I was prioritizing my family over work.
Yeah.
So I am constantly prioritizing what is more important right now. What should I give more time and attention to? And what I should be giving attention to at a later point in time. So today I've given another interview which I had kept on hold for the past 3 weeks. So that's how it is, Sridhar. On a day-to-day basis, you've got to prioritize between what time of the day do I want to devote to what. So my children, I am giving you very basic examples. My kids have online classes in the morning. So I have to sit with them till about 12:30, 1. Then I take a little time off to focus on my work for whatever I'm doing, even responding to messages on Instagram, or taking calls, or responding to calls. All that I do it after the classes. So I kind of keep, shifting between the two. That's how I do the work person. As far as personal and professional life goes, you can't compartmentalize it. This I'm talking at a level which is more like an inner process. You can't compartmentalize completely your personal and your professional work. Your personal work, your journey, what you learn from your personal life influences your professional work, your professional space, and vice versa. It's a two-way process. And both of them are equally a part of my life. I don't see my work as a separate entity. This is also a journey for me. It's a personal journey. Personal space is always a personal space. So I think it's always about, if you ask any woman, I think it's always prioritizing what's more important at this point in time, what takes more attention, what needs your attention at this point in time. If you're talking about just working through it.
Because I have asked this question to so many women entrepreneurs around the globe, and most of them have more than 2 children, 3 children. So as a man, I can't fathom how they do this all. So I asked them, how do you balance this? They said there is never a balance in life. That's the truth. So you just go with it, the flow. It's each day as its own. So the answer I get from each is pretty much the same thing as you mentioned. So, but I find that the younger generation today is making an excuse for this, and that's affecting their marital life. Have you sensed that?
You mean to say the younger generations is choosing the professional life over a family and the kids and all of that?
I'm not actually choosing it, but I feel that they are finding it hard to find the balance, that they are absolutely breaking under pressure, and it's affecting both.
It's very difficult, Firdaus. I mean, for me, as far as, and one important element which I have done I have a YouTube channel now which I am creating content for. So I put out videos as and when I can create one, and I try and do it as regularly as I can. I'm really bad at that. But even in one of them, where I had done a series on how to balance work and family, I had shared my personal journey through those videos. And in that I had mentioned, I talked about 3 leaders and from different walks of life. One is Indira Nooyi, one is Michelle Obama, and Sheryl Sandberg. And so I agree with Indira Nooyi, because you can't have it all. It's like you, at one point in time, you can have something, you have to let go of something else. So when I was doing Happiness Project, I was doing it on weekends. So I would work on research for the content through the week, and I would shoot on the weekend. So I literally did not have a break. So through the week I was working because my kids are going to school. I wake up at 5 o'clock, get their dabbas ready, send them, do my jobs around the house, sit in research. They're back. I'm back into their routine, helping them with their classes, their work. It's the same. I'm working through the week, and then weekends to shoot stuff. It is almost every other weekend. And of course, I mean, you have all other social commitments as well to do on weekends. So it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So it was never easy. The only thing that you can hope for is some support. Support from your family members, from your children, from your parents, your in-laws, or even a health who is willing to chip in and take over those roles that you have to leave behind when you step out to work. So it's a support from a lot of people, and that is what helped me through. I got a lot of support from all those people who were a part of my life.
True.
So if I had been a full-time working professional, I would not be even able to give that much time to my kids as I give it now.
True.
Give them now. So it is very tough. It is very tough if you don't have support.
True.
And the roles are still, demarcated in a way that the primary caregiver is always the mother, unfortunately. And most of the men folk are still not tuned to being the primary caregiver.
True.
So they're not conditioned, they're not raised, or they're not able to, or they don't want to, whatever the reasons might be. The primary caregiver is still the mother. So if the mother wants to step out and work, she has to be a superwoman, and she has to take on so much. And it's just not possible without support.
Yeah. And I also
and
feel
that is where I feel the younger generation is.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't say the younger generation. It's like the present generation. That's what the thing is. They understand is that it's not possible without support. So they choose to not have children or have just a child if they are focusing more on their career. And I think it's fair enough because you have to do justice to your roles, whatever the roles might be, whether it's professional or as a mother.
I also sense a disparity in the pay that a man gets and a woman gets. Like if you could have the same n number of years of experience and qualification, but I don't think in companies today, no matter where you are, whether you are in India working in the US or UAE, wherever you are, there is a disparity in pay. Have you sensed that?
I have not faced this because it was a standalone thing that I did. I don't have any points of references to compare with. But initially when I started working as an MC, of course I understood that there was a difference in pay. But for me it was very early on as an MC. So it was not an issue for me because I was very inexperienced and the person who was listening with me probably would have had 10 or 15 years of experience. I've not really seen it that way because as far as the scenario that I was in as an anchor, as an MC, I didn't have to negotiate much. I mean, I would put out a reasonable charge. I would be paid for it. And what I'm not comfortable with, I would just say straight away no. So, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how much of a disparity that exists because I'm not a part of a company. I'm working as a freelancer. I dictate my own terms. So if you agree with it, great. If you don't, just do that. So that's how it's for me. So I wouldn't know.
True.
Had I been in a company, probably I would have been able to give you a clearer picture.
Yeah, so you're saying that on the media field, there is not much of that disparity.
I don't know because I have worked very independently,
Yeah,
because I don't have reference points to compare. 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't have any reference points, so that's the problem. Like I don't have anybody to compare with because I work as a single unit.
Yeah, true. And that's wonderful. And are you looking to do more movie works projects?
Again, it's movie industry is something which you can't plan it out.
True.
A lot of things have to fall in place for something to come your way.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting anything out of the film industry. I would like to explore acting as an art. That's from a different space that if I take on movies and if movies come my way, if I approach it, it will be to explore acting. Because it's a very challenging thing to do, to be another person and to get into somebody else's character. I love the process of creating. So it doesn't matter what it is, but like even I enjoy this YouTube channel because I'm putting out content and creating something. So that gives me immense satisfaction as a professional, as a creative person. So I see everything as a interrelated thing. I don't feel like it's very separate. So when movies came to me, I got at least 4 offers of a similar type. I did Padinatam Padi, which is a Malayalam movie, and in that I played the role of a journalist and walking into the scene to just a scene with Prithviraj. But I got 4 similar roles.
Yeah.
Same. Going to a place, meeting the person, talking about that person, coming back. I'm like,
typecast,
yeah,
right?
I was like, yeah. So I was like, I'm not doing that again. Because it doesn't challenge me, it doesn't excite me. Give me something different. Give me something which makes me nervous and excited and all at the same time. So there were a couple of offers that had come in, and I was supposed to do something in the month of May, but that didn't happen because of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
But then when things come up and if something good comes my way, which I feel challenges me, I would love to take it up. That's for the sheer need to explore acting. I, in fact, did an acting workshop as well, and I realized that acting is not an easy cup of tea. You know, it's like a whole different ball game altogether.
True.
But yeah, I'm open to it. No big deal. Yeah.
So when did you realize that potential in you to do acting? Were you into theater works?
I've done a lot of dancing as a dancer. I learned dance for about 10 to 12 years, maybe more.
Yeah.
So I performed in a lot of stages. And as a dancer too, there are times when you move into a character that you portray, especially in the Dhanya part of it. So, I was offered a role with a long time ago when I was hanging around Prithvi Theatre in Bombay. I don't know if you've heard of Satyadev Dubey, he's a master. And he had offered me a role. And since then, there has been always a call coming from the sphere of acting, so to say. I was offered roles in movies earlier on. Lot of things have come my way, but I've not really jumped into it, either one reason or the other. It has never happened. So I never feel if it has to happen, it will happen. If it doesn't, just be it. That's okay. So it was never like a calling to act. It was always something that I want to explore because it's not a thing for fame or success or money or. It's just that it's such a beautiful art form. It's such a wonderful thing. Just watching, the thrill that you get when you watch Nawazuddin Siddiqui or an Irfan Khan, and you wonder how they pull it off.
Totally, absolutely.
And just to experience a glimpse of it, of what it feels to be another person, so fascinating.
Exactly, you're living multiple lives.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. I mean, I have a real life, and in your head, when you're creating another person, you're living a different life. It's a fascinating experience.
Yeah, so coming back to the domestic life, not exactly yours, but I sense that during these times, it's not something that people are talking too much, but I feel that the domestic violence have increased in recent times. Have you realized it? Do you feel the same sensation?
I see a lot of celebrities posting about it, but they're all living in isolation, so we really don't know what's going on with each other's life. You get what I mean? I mean, we're not really talking to a lot of people or meeting other people. But yes, there are a lot of issues. Like I know of people who are not getting access to alcohol, especially alcoholics, and especially among my maids and among the maids and their friends, and they all alcoholics. Many of the husbands are alcoholics, so they're not getting access to alcohol the way they used to. So all that energy went out on the wives, the immediate family members. There's a lot of stress with respect to lack of money. for their day-to-day needs. Many of them are jobless.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stress within the family because people don't have access to online resources to teach their kids. The kids are sitting at home. It's something which was never expected, but it turned out this way. There's a lot of stress within the family.
Yeah.
And that stress is from various reasons that are coming in. And you don't have the space. I mean, otherwise you're stepping out, you're going out somewhere, you're giving your partner some space. And, and vice versa, you're getting your space. There's no space now. I mean, you literally 24/7. I think every marriage thrives also on space. So you can't be constantly sitting in a room and, in the same space all the time. It's like there's this Khalil Gibran's quote, I think the two trees can grow, they cannot grow in each other's shade. I think Khalil Gibran had written it in The Prophet. I'm not sure. But I think it's The Prophet.
Yeah.
So in that he said that two trees cannot grow in each other's shade.
Yeah.
So you need that space between the partners to be able to grow and explore. And that's not happening now. And women are bearing the brunt of it in a big way. They have their homes to manage. Women who are working from home have those issues as well. They don't have help. They don't have support. They have no maids. They have to do a lot of jobs themselves. And some of them have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
Everything is adding to it.
True.
Like it's just piling up and piling up and piling up. It's not going away. And it's not a month or two. It's been a long time that people are going through this situation. It's crazy. And it's very hard to remain sane in this situation. You can very easily lose your mind.
Yeah, I feel that nobody really has an answer for a solution to this right now at this junction. So that's also a reason why most of them are not talking about it. But would you have a suggestion to these people who are suffering in silence? What can they do?
You have to reach out. You have no other choice.
Yeah.
You can't be suffering in silence. That's not an option. I mean, if somebody is hitting you, somebody is being abusive, whether it's your husband, whether it's any of your members of the family, I mean, you never have to take it lying down. Give it back.
True.
I, as a child, when I grew up, and I remember when I used to go for my tuition, and I was in class 7. I used to cross this road to my tuition class, and I had to kind of walk about a kilometer to my tuition class. And there's this bunch of teenager boys, probably 5 or 6 years older than me, 12, 17, 18 times. I used to gang up there, and every day they would pass comments. And I was a child. I was not even a teenager, probably. I used to get bullied every time. I would pass by and they would pass comments, and it just started getting to me. It was some kind of an abuse, and it's some kind of a torture to pass by that route to my tuition class. So one day I walked back. I stood on the road. I called them. And 2 or 3 of them came from the group to us. I said, please don't do this. You're really making me uncomfortable and angry and upset. And if you continue to do this, then I'll probably have to put up a complaint somewhere, which I don't want to do. And I remember talking to them about it without even raising my voice. And they stopped.
Oh.
They just completely stopped from the next day onwards. I never had a problem after that. I don't know what made me do it. I was too young. But you don't have to take it. It's at the end of the day, what's within your boundary, you have a circle around you. You have a bubble around you. And anything that comes into that bubble that doesn't respect you as an individual, as a person, you don't have to tolerate it. Nobody has to tolerate it.
True.
So this is a very far-off example, but I believe that in any marriage, the foundation of a marriage is respect. And if that respect is not there, then nothing is there in that marriage.
True.
If you can't respect your spouse, by respect I mean, don't mean putting up on a pedestal. By respect I mean the respect for the individual, the respect with which you talk to the person, how you respect his or her views. It's a foundation of any marriage.
True.
If that is not there, then there's no marriage. It's not worth it being in that marriage.
True.
So it applies to every relationship, actually.
True.
Even with your children. I mean, please get angry. I mean, I lose my cool with my kids. But the basic thing of respect has to be there.
True. That's a
If
very valid
anybody is
point.
not doing,
Because
if that's not being valued, it's not being taken into consideration, then it's not worth it.
True.
Certainly not worth it. And every relationship is built on negotiation. Two people who have been brought up under different circumstances, when they come together in a marriage, they're always different.
True.
And it's always negotiation. It's always talking it out. It's always saying what's okay and what's not. So you've got to find a way around it. I mean, even if that takes leaving that marriage, if there's no other way, then of course that's the only choice left.
True.
The negotiation, respect. I mean, the whole glorified concept of love, more than that, is these basic things, that keeps the marriage and respect in the marriage going. And if it's not there, then it's not worth it. It's simple as that.
Plus, I feel that we live in a community where people are ashamed to talk about depression. And they are, even more, they are not going to visit a doctor and say that, okay, I have a problem, I need treatment. Because they say that they confuse it with a mental problem, a psychology problem, like the people here. Despite of all the lectures they give on social media, they still are not ready to admit that they have a psychological problem, because we could all have it. It's like a fever or something. Everybody could have it at one point or the other. But they treat mental illness as something else. Don't you feel so?
It is mental illness. It is mental disorder.
Yeah.
When you're calling it a depression. But the fact that a lot of people confuse sadness with depression. There's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, is awareness about why exactly do you stand. Is it something which is like a certain time of the month, 2-3 days, you're in a bad mood? Is that depression?
No.
Does it require psychiatrist help? Yeah. Is it the sudden change in situation, something that you wanted has not worked your way? You're sad for 2-3 days. Is that depression? And you need to first figure out, are you undergoing depression as an illness? And that awareness, I think, is lacking amongst all of us. Is that sadness depression, or is it just a passing sadness?
Yeah.
So that is level 1. Level 2 is, yes, if you are continuously in that very low state of mind for weeks on end or months on end, of course it's depression. That's when you go to a doctor. Why don't you go to a doctor? Because we fear that our identities will be disclosed. We fear that the anonymity will be lost. We don't want to talk to our peers or family members, all of them, about what we are undergoing, because that kind of makes us lose our standing amongst all of us, among family members or friends. All all of those people. You don't want to tell your friends that you're undergoing a situation like this. They will consider you weak, or they will think that you, professionally, they think you're not capable. So all these stigmas exist. You can't turn a blind eye to it. What I feel is, if there is any possibility of anonymity and working within that, because the stigma exists, whether you want it or not, the stigma exists. And it will take years of awareness campaigns and talking about it and conversations that will slowly raise the stigma. I realize there's a huge change now. There is a huge change from what it used to be 5 or 6 years ago. And it will take time. But in the meanwhile, if there is any recourse to reaching out to a professional without having to disclose to people that you don't want to disclose to, then please reach out. If I've given out, my YouTube channel too has given out numbers. Reach out. Have a talk. Have that conversation. And the only issue I feel is people knowing and the stigma attached to it.
True.
If that is removed, and if you can talk to somebody on the basis of anonymity, why not? But even that is not being explored. That's the sad side. So there are a lot of organizations which will talk to you, and they will, take care of the fact that your identity should not be disclosed and all that. They will do it. But even that step is not being taken, and I do not understand why.
Right. So I would like to conclude this on a happier note, because after all, I'm talking to the face behind the Happiness Project. What would you consider to be the greatest achievement of your life, the most happiest moment in your life?
My happiest moments are always the bizarre ones,
Always for everyone.
Yeah. Yes, of course, you have a lot of happy moments in your life, and your achievements, what you have achieved is, of course, the things that you feel happy about. You are happy about the birth of your children, your marriage, or any special occasions that you remember. All those are things to be happy about.
Yeah.
All those things exist, but if you ask me, which is that unforgettable thing that, literally drove you to a state of bliss, it was, I think, a trip to Lakshadweep. Most of them are with travel for me.
I see.
Those unforgettable moments that just completely threw me to a state of bliss, nirvana, whatever you call it, are always with travel. It's always been travel for me.
That's wonderful.
So there's several of them, and one was when I was in Lakshadweep. I had gone with my parents for a trip, and I had gone, and a friend of ours had taken a boat and gone to the end of the reef, where the deep ocean begins. So I was floating in the water, snorkeling there, and I was just at the point where the reef ends and the deep ocean begins. So I could see this light blue water underneath, and this very dense, deep blue water to my right hand side, which is the deep ocean, and you could see these huge fish. I was scared at the same time. These huge fish in the deeper side, and I had these tiny, beautiful, colorful ones on the reef right below me, beneath me in the water.
Wow.
And I was just waddling away, and I'm not much of a swimmer, more of a splasher. So suddenly I look down, and I see this huge sea turtle on the seabed.
Wow.
And he's on the sea floor, the sand there, white sand. So I see this guy sitting there. And I was scared because the deep side is scary. You're actually seeing these huge fish. So this fellow sitting on the bed, he senses some disturbance in the water above him. And then he just takes out his neck and just goes like slowly protruding out. And then he falls backwards to look up. And I think a few seconds we made eye contact. And I don't know what happened to me. I felt so in tune with nature and so inconsequential and everything at the same time. When I looked into his eyes and he was right there looking at me, I was looking at him, and that was like a beautiful moment.
Wow.
And most of my moments like those are from travel.
Yeah.
We had gone to Leh Ladakh and I had dozed off in the car, and I love that place. It's a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been there?
No, I haven't.
It's a beautiful place. You must go there. It's like a learning by itself. So I'm very fond of traveling. And we were in the car and I had dozed off, and suddenly I opened my eyes, and we're taking a tour around the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're going, like traveling for 6 to 8 hours at a stretch by a car. And we was like traversing these various landscapes, which are like sometimes you could see mountains of green, blue, red. It's a dry desert. It's like a cold desert there. So suddenly we turn over a bend and I open my eyes and I see this most spectacular sight, which is a river just branching out down beneath, which is, I don't know how many meters down. And it's a bed.
Wow.
And the river was branching out into various tributaries, and there was the sun's golden light shimmering on it. And it was a golden yellow color on the soil down, flanked by mountains on all sides. And I'm like, I can't believe that. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Wow.
And the rest of the journey, I kept my eyes like fully open. I refused to go back to sleep. It was like I might miss these sights,
Yeah.
So
It's amazing how
that's what
you can remember like so detailed. That's even more fascinating. That's nice.
That's because it's left such a huge impact on you.
True. Right.
That moment has left such a big impact on you that you can't forget it. And I have a very strong visual memory. So,
Wow.
it just
explain
stays like that, like a photograph
Yeah,
in my head.
Absolutely. I could almost see it.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So most of my travel is what has given me, I think, a sense of perspective and my most beautiful moments, and which I would like to cherish for a lifetime. So, yeah.
And what are the names of your children? I didn't get it.
The elder one is Arya, Arya.
Okay.
The twins are Adi and Dia. D-I.
Yeah.
And D-I-A.
And Dia. Wonderful. So I guess we'll wrap it up. And
all right.
And I would love to thank you for this opportunity. It was wonderful conversing with you.
Thank you so much, Firdaus.
And I would really wish for a lot more of these happy moments in your life, much more to come. I'm sure the better days are yet to arrive. Would love to see you on the celluloid also, and hopefully we all get through these difficult times. And even the flood, there is a possibility of a flood, so God prevent all that, and let there be peace.
Yeah, let's just hope for the best, and let's just do our bit. For everything. I mean, whether it's the environment or whether it's our family or taking care of ourselves, let's just do our bit, because I believe that there's only so much one can do. So you do your bit and leave the rest.
Yeah.
That's all you can do in these circumstances.
Indeed.
But I have this thing which I want to share with the viewers. And this has been my personal philosophy, so to say. Don't stagnate. Keep growing.
True.
Keep learning, because as you're learning, I remember when I started anchoring in Hindi, and never did I imagine that I would be able to pull it off and probably stick on. And it was a very big challenge, but as long as I was learning, I was fine. So no matter what the circumstance around you is, or how challenging the situation around you is, as long as you're learning something every day, or putting your best to learn something new, you're growing.
Sure.
And you never know when that comes in hand later.
Mm-hmm.
So I never knew what I would be doing later in life when I said, yes, I would like to anchor and let me learn how to do it. I never anticipated to be an anchor or an interviewer or a talk show host at a later point in time. That helped me today. That helped me in 2009 when I started Talking Points. It was not a plan. It was just constant urge to learn. To keep learning, keep growing. If you have time on your hands, it's probably the best time to invest in learning something new. Even if it is joining an art class, even if it's learning music, just keep learning, because that will keep you focused, that will keep you grounded, that will also keep you happy.
Sure.
So please invest in learning throughout your life.
Sure.
And that I really wanted to share with you, because that's what I did through these times. If you ask me what I did in these difficult times, I shifted my focus and my energy completely into learning something new. For me, it happened as a YouTube channel, which I had not planned for. It happened organically. I just started putting out awareness videos and people started responding. So I put out another video. I tried to improve on what I put out. And every day I would take one step forward towards creating a better content for my viewers on my channel. And in that process, I learned a lot and I kept myself sane. Instead of focusing on all the negativity, I focused on learning and staying positive through it.
Wonderful.
I didn't look at motivational videos. I rather looked at just focus on learning something. And that worked for me.
Yeah.
So probably you could take that and do something creative and utilize this time to invest in yourself.
True. Invest in yourself, indeed. That's wonderful. Spoken really beautifully
Thank
as
you so much.
usual.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you. It was wonderful talking to you, Firdaus.
you too.
They're
It's
very meaningful questions, very sensible questions,
my pleasure. Coming
and
from the
very well
best.
thought out.
Yeah, thank you.
I enjoyed talking to you.
You
Thank
too.
you so much,
Thank you.
Firdaus.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care.